And welcome back again, students. All right, as I said last time, we were going to work on kind of fixing up some of our content because some things, for example, if you look on our About page, you can see we have weird things that go on. For example, it says like you got this right here where the content is being displayed, but you can see that it's not necessarily always where we want it to be. Like here, looks okay, but in some of the other places, like for example, you don't even see it here. So we want to kind of fix that so that those content pieces are pretty much always where you want them to appear. So that means we have to go and look at the article here. So let's go to our CSS again. All right, and we want to maybe target article on all those pages, because if you notice, pretty much except for like right here in this one screen size, we had the issue of like, for example, right here it was okay, but it wasn't necessarily where we wanted it to be. Like here, when I click on About the Company, either I want it to appear inside of this menu, or it's got to be further down. And then like here, for example, I'm going to want that content not to be up there on the side banner. All right, so we're going to do probably similar to some of the stuff we've done before, which is invoking the float command. So, okay, if we look at our preview here, all right, we want to try and get these. We could do a blanket one where we try to do something like the floater where it's always going to be the same place. However, since our articles vary in their position between the different web pages and web sizes, there's two ways we can do this. Now, for example, if we look at our home page right now, there is no article tag. So I could avoid that completely. If I look at my About page, you can see we have article tags. If I look at my careers page, we have article tags there as well. So the thing that I'm probably going to want to do is maybe approach this more an individualistic approach. And so this gets into the topic of writing CSS for an individual web page. Because sometimes your style sheets, when you design like that main.css, applies to each web page. So we have things that are going to affect each web page. But when we start getting into where we have the individual elements doing their own thing on each web page, then we want to write a style sheet internally for that HTML page. So here I could write, for example, a tag for article, and I could just say, I'm just going to have that float to the left. Okay. Now the only issue with that was when I started doing that looks good here, but how does that carry out? So all is looking good here, looking good here, looking good here. All right. So that all looks great. But what if we go to careers? Okay. This one is aligned up next to it. So, you can see that page, we may want to override that because you can see that those two tags are now side by side. So putting a float on it works for generally overall. But we're going to go to the careers page now and add in just a normal style tag there. So we're going to say style, and let's go ahead and just target that article tag. So the easiest way to do that, of course, if I want to differentiate them, I could add classes to them. So I could overwrite article tag there. So I could do, like, for example, I can just say article, and then I could just say float, and I could just say none. Okay, and so then if I refresh it, I get this. That's the easiest way to do that. Of course, like I said, I could give it class IDs as well, where I come in and assign each individual article a class ID. And the advantage of doing it that way is that I get more control. So if I wanted to really dive down and get a super amount of control, I could give it a class ID, let's say like it's called jobs. And I could then assign values to that and put it in my main. But because this is, I'm just affecting just the one thing on that one web page, and all my other pages are probably going to be the same, this will probably just be fine. And if I look at this, how this one kind of works out, it looks fine, except for, right here. So we do have a small issue here by saying article is none. Okay, so we do have to look at this and say, okay, so for most of my web pages, this is working okay. So like this screen size looks great. This screen size, not so much. So let's just take that style link back out, because occasionally, like I said, you do need that. But we did, of course, discover it didn't work for everything. All right, now here it does work in keeping everything where we want it to be. Okay, the only issue is that now each of these individual pieces aren't working the way you want them to. So this is where we're going to come in and add those class IDs. So class equals, and we call it jobs. And then we'll apply it to this one. Class equals quote jobs. Looks like I added an extra quote in there. Go. So what we can do is now in our main, we're going to, rather than have that, we could do a broad thing here. So because it looks like that piece of it is affecting everything, I can come in here and just say article, then let's hash jobs. Okay. And in there, you can see we have different things. Like, for example, there's like align content. You have different options there. So like, yeah, like the flex options and stuff like that. But that's not ultimately what we're trying to do here. What we want to do is to get those individual pieces to do what they're supposed to do. So we could say like, try a clear command, for example, and we can just say clear both. And if we refresh it, it doesn't do what we want to do. So we want it to pretty much push each of those elements down rather than stacking them. And we could try to say, hey, we're gonna change the float on them, and we're gonna say the float is none. And of course, it doesn't work where we're doing it, because the jobs tag here, even though if we look here, they're getting the correct thing. So right here's the article.jobs. It's not pulling in the correct piece here. And it probably would help. Let's see. Actually, it'd help if I'm using .jobs. All right, because it's a class, not an ID. And we do clear, none. Yeah, again, still you're not seeing those results, because again, it's pulling in this float command, and that float command's overriding it. So this is where we actually will want to perhaps on this web page, again, look at overriding those pieces. So to tackle this issue, what we're going to do, I'm going to delete that piece out of there. I did do some stuff playing around here with just seeing if what was. I paused the screen here. So again, it's that article tag that I was doing. So what I'm going to do instead of making a broad thing for each thing is I'm going to still manipulate the article tag, but instead I'm going to differentiate them. So I'm going to create some classes. So I'm going to have like article.other, for example. And then I might have one for the jobs. So article.jobs. Okay, so save that, go back to my source code, and what I'm going to do is just going to add in the class here. So class equals quote jobs. Class equals quote jobs. And let's go back to the about for that source code. Class equals quote other. All right, and we go back to here. All right, did you give me? Oh, I put this in the wrong part. I did see. Thought I saw something angry with me. Okay. So now what I can do is inside my CSS is I can differentiate the other one to float, because remember that one worked fine. So I can say float left, and .jobs can kind of stay the way it is. All right, so refresh. All right. So we differentiated those pieces here. So I'm going to go, okay, career opportunities looks good, good. Still looking good. Oh, doesn't look good there. So we can fix that. If we go to the About page again, okay, it's kind of staying good, except for like in some of this middle screen size doesn't seem to like things, which could be something as simple as just trying to push the width of that block there, just so that way it's a little wider. So if we say here, this is floating left, might have a semicolon there, and then we say something like set the display of it to block. Okay, and we'll set the position to relative. We'll give it a margin dash left of, let's do 0. Okay. So this is the About, refresh. We got a little bit of an issue right there. And just make sure, so on, this is the other. Oops. Okay. And if we look over here, that paragraph is ending up there. Not quite sure why. So just to kind of clean that up a little bit, we'll focus first on this one. All right, so that looks good. Looks good. Wait for that screen size. Looks good. Right there. So that is, of course, all right. I believe that's this screen size right here. This is not the big screen. So we got 1, 2, 3. It is the 4th screen size. There's a little bit of an issue right here, especially when we get to this big one too. Okay, so in here, that is going to be this one here, article.jobs. Okay, I'm just simply going to copy that, come down to this one. Let's just paste that in there. Okay. And what we're going to do at that point, let's apply a float left to it. Okay, still don't see it. Clear. We're going to do something kind of like we did with the footer, which was clear both, position relative. Still don't see it. I'm pretty sure though it is up in here. So article.jobs. See if I just take out the jobs piece here. There it is. Okay, so I can just take out the jobs there. All right, and we've set it right there. I'm going to change this now to float. And I'm going to do left, refresh, boom. Of course, now, we have that issue where both of these are on the same line. So I wonder if we insert in, let's do a break tag. Okay. So that didn't do anything here. So it's putting them on the same level. So we can try doing with okay, that pushed them. There we go, with 50%. Boom. Solved it. All right, so that takes care of that one. and that only affects it on this screen size here. So I don't have to worry about other ones. So we do have some issues, looks like, right around here where it's making that adjustment. So that's going to be in that mid size. So I'm just going to grab this, copy, paste. All right, refresh. There they are. Boom, looks golden. All right, so we got that fixed. And it looks like there is a little bit of a cushion issue here, which is a real quick fix. All we have to do is just add a margin left. And we can just say like 0.05 EM. Boom, there. Now it's not squished on top of it. Golden. All right, let's go to the About page. All right, and see where we have that going and see if it's still good, because we did make a change to the article tag to affect some of that stuff. So you can see it looks pretty good here, except for right here, there's a small transition, and that's going to be on the smallest web page. So actually what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to grab this article piece here. I'm going to actually delete out these here. And let's go right here, paste it in. And okay, now the only issue is here. You can see that width, not where we really want it. So that's another reason why we kind of wanted to control that by each individual layer, because right here doesn't really line up very nicely. So I'm actually going to, in this case, I want to center that more. So I kind of wanted to look at how I did my nav, for example. You can see right here is position relative, but I also have this margin of 0.4. So refresh. There you go. Looks a little bit better. The other issue is that this width is 50% here. I'm going to change that to, let's say, if I do 100%, oops, the 100% is going to be too much. You can see it's going to spill off the page. So instead, we're going to make that like, let's say, 75%. Okay, much better. All right. Now we could try to make that centered and stuff like that. So we can do like text dash align center. Boom. Look at that. Looks golden. Now we have a web page that's really coming together pretty snazzy. Like I said, there's still this. I saw a small fluctuation right there. So that might be actually on the next screen size up. So we're just going to kind of copy that bad boy again. Paste it in. I'm going to take the text alignment off. Okay, refresh. All right, and I believe this time we need to change this 0.5 because it's much more flat. All right, and that looks good. There we go. Look at that. We have a snazzy web page now. Obviously, it's very bare bones, very basic. We could do a lot more with it. I could even do things where, like this right here, I could push the footer down more. So, for example, if I come back up here to the footer, the big issue with this one, with the footer, is it looks fine for like when I have like, you know, a mobile page, for example, because it's going to be on your phone. Or I have, you know, something. The issue is we want to make sure that it's always pushed down a certain percentage. So we can align that, but I think this is good enough for now. The last thing that we definitely want to add in is functionality to the menu, and that will kind of be a wrap on things, folks. So I'll see you then.